that at the heart of every early years leader is the desire to create a setting that inspires awe and wonder. In studio with me today, Agathe Jameson has done just that. Her philosophy is called Inspire. Welcome, Agathe Jameson.
Thank you.
I love having you here. Thank you so much.
It's actually, we've never met, and it's just been as if we've known each other for a really long time.
Forever,
so
right?
Thank you for the invitation.
Kindred hearts.
Yes, kindred heart, absolutely.
Yeah. Tell the audience, who is Agathe Jameson?
Okay, at heart, I would say she's super curious of life, of just the little things. I think that I'm known as the raccoon.
Raccoon?
Yes, in my workplace, I have a colleague who has named me that because I will collect and see things that other people don't. And they're like big and small treasures that I bring into our nursery setting. So yes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's quite cool. She gave me the name before the weekend.
And you're a mom too?
I am. I'm a mom to an amazing teenager. I'm a wife to my high school sweetheart and to my best friend. Yeah, so we've been together for a very long time. Yeah. I'm a daughter. I've got incredible parents. They're my heroes. I actually work with my mum, so it really is so lucky. I feel extremely privileged that I have a relationship with my mum the way I do, because not everybody can work with family.
Yes.
And I can, which is... I feel very privileged for that.
That is such a blessing.
It is. It is. And very rare. I think it's my norm, but it is rare. I'm a leader. I'm a learner, but I'm not an academic. I'm actually dyslexic, and it has been some really tough times in my life, but it's also been my saving grace.
Yeah. How so?
One, when I was in primary school, I was able to meet the most brilliant educators that other children didn't get to meet. So there was a lot of things that I got to do. I never suffered from it in school at all. I was going to say, I can't remember their names, but they were just incredible. This is how I actually got to know about brain gym and kinesiology and things that I now apply in our early years because of my experience. So, it's been a benefit. The hardships. Sorry?
You are?
I am nervous.
Don't be.
No, I know, but it's like, you are? Yes, I am.
You're a modern day pedagogist, a modern day philosopher.
Sure.
I think being an early years leader, I've been in the industry for nearly 3 decades. When we think about pedagogists, we're thinking about people in books. And when I learned about what you're doing, I certainly was in awe. I am in awe of what you're doing and what you've created. So please share with us, what is the Inspire philosophy?
So the Inspire philosophy at its birthplace is how we actually do things, if that makes sense. If I can give you a little bit of history.
Please.
So it actually started with Isabel, who's my mom. She opened up a nursery in Saudi where women at the time could not work. They were allowed to do things in their homes, and out of need, because there was a need. I was little. My brother wasn't around yet. Just finding connections, and she opened up her creche, which was in our home. So very suitable. And it was play-based, which she didn't know at the time what that word was. These are words of today, but it was extremely play-based, small groups. She started with 1 child, then 2, then 3, and it ended up being a really good business that was recognized in the end. And then she moved to Dubai, continued, studied. At the time, studying in early years was not really done, to be fair. So furthered her studies, opened her first nursery. And can I tell you what the biggest setback has been in the beginning? Was teachers who'd been teaching a very long time a certain way and having to change that mindset. And she was on her own. And nurseries at the time were all run more or less the same model-wise. And so she was constantly trying to break away. So depending on who she employed and who stayed, because we are in a transient country, I think she was able to navigate those waters. Move forward 10, 15 years, I've come along. I have a different mindset. I started off as an assistant. She was actually quite surprised that I wanted to come into her industry. I love children, got an architect background, but there was something.
It didn't call your heart.
Well, I love it, don't get me, and it's really practical actually I use my skills every day, but I needed the people contact.
Yes.
So I said, can I come? She goes, come. Start as an assistant, which I did. And then over 4 to 5 years, I built up, became a teacher, and then realized that the four walls of my classroom were confining me. I realized that everyone was my peer by 20 years, and that there were some changes that needed to happen, but I didn't know what. So lots of conversations, having to take a bit of distance, figure out, a lot of research. And then we started introducing loose parts, again, something we'd always done, but we didn't have a name to it. And it's like, okay, actually what we're doing is called loose parts. Fantastic. And giving more space. When I first started, the schedule was so busy.
Your nursery schedule.
Yeah, it was so busy, and it felt so alien to me. Being dyslexic, I guess that was an advantage. I was like, I can't follow this. It makes no sense to me. It's not organic. It doesn't flow. And I started doing a different pace and showing by example that things can change, because there was a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
Things that were different before we had themes and topics. We don't do that anymore.
So what does a day in the Inspire philosophy look like?
Well, it starts off with pace, where all my teachers and actually my assistants were all in a big circle, and we have certain a pattern of exercise that we do to get ourselves in pace for the day. It means that we can celebrate, like this morning we had someone, it was their birthday. It's a way to connect first thing in the morning, and we do that for 15 minutes. And then we break away, because foremost, it's staff. We talk about education for children, but if your staff is not in a good place, and they're not supported and they're not feeling, then it doesn't matter.
So you have your community moment with the leaders in the business first.
Yes.
And you inspire one another and you ground one another together.
Very much so. Yeah.
And then you disperse and go and do the same for the children.
Yes.
I love that.
And it's brilliant.
Yes.
And you know what? 10 years ago, people are like, oh no, there's no way you could do that. And even myself, it's like, how do I carve away 10 minutes? Like, we're so busy. But you have to change the way you do things.
This is innovation.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we can do that now.
Yes.
So that's the first 15 minutes. We break up. Teachers actually then go into the playgrounds, greet the children one by one. So teachers greet parents outside. Wonderful. And then either the children start their day outside or they start inside, depending on... So we have a schedule. So our classes don't clash, but they don't have to stick to schedule.
Right.
So, for example, if like I had a noodle girl start today, so the teacher's like, I'd really like to start outside because I know she's going to feel more comfortable outside. Yeah. So we changed schedule.
I love that. Yeah. It's not carved in stone.
No, absolutely not.
Yes.
Go outside. So she started the day outside. Now that the weather's getting good. So how would it look? So I guess the morning is cut into 2. So they get 2 areas a day. Watch me bring it to 1. For my teachers listening, that's the next thing in the program. We used to go to 5 areas a day. I brought it down to 2.
What are those areas?
Could be from our playrooms. So indoor, we've got a playroom and we've got a gym room. Outside, we've got different playgrounds, and then we've got outdoor playrooms, which is like a playroom, but outside. So there's no running in those areas. It's a lot smaller loose parts, things like that. Whilst in our playgrounds, we have big loose parts, and there's movement to run and make big forts and things like that there. And I have enough space that all my classrooms can be outside at the same time.
Wonderful.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is
Sounds
fantastic. And
like
again,
a
very,
dream.
very grateful.
Yeah,
that we are
sounds
able
like
to.
a dream setting. Yeah.
It is, very much so. I mean, God, if you gave me a magic wand, yeah, I could go bing, 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 bing. But I think we also do best when we have restraints and when we have, okay, this
Like
is,
children,
yes,
some boundaries, yes.
boundaries give us also, well, how do I get around this problem? Or how do I, I can't push the walls out, but what can I do to create more space or less space?
Right.
Because sometimes too much space is overwhelming for
Yes,
children.
yes.
And we don't always think about that.
So at the heart of the Inspire philosophy is innovation.
Very
I'm
much so.
hearing, yes, I'm hearing you say that between yourself and your mom, here are these two forward-thinking people that are saying the guideline, the parameters that are within one approach is not working for us. We're going to take the good, and you can correct me if I'm wrong,
No.
please. Take the good from what we know and bring it into an eclectic, fresh mix into
That's more like
our
it.
nursery school.
Yes.
Is that it?
It's very eclectic.
Yeah.
We are not limited in any way. I don't even see it as taking the good. It's taking what makes sense then and there. Also, a lot of these pedagogies, I mean, we're inspired by many, many people. I get inspired by people, not just pedagogies. Someone will come and I'm like, oh, that's such a great way of doing that in your home. Let's bring that into the nursery school. I think the biggest thing with the Inspire philosophy, there's no limits.
I want to say that I love that you're a leader and a lifelong leader. This is important. This is important for our listeners to hear. Very often they see the leaders in industry and they don't understand what makes them the standout leaders. And I think this is one of those character traits, that you're a lifelong learner, always aspiring to find that growth moment in your engagements with other people. So well done on you.
Thank you.
I interrupted you.
No,
Please
not
continue.
at all.
Yeah.
But I also want to remind people, it's not about burning yourself out. It's not going, oh, what's the next thing?
Yes.
It comes.
Yes.
If you are open and inspired by others, and inspiration can come, like I'm just looking at the plant behind you, and the first thing my mum would say, isn't the graphics amazing there?
Wow.
Yes. and it's that, and other people just say, oh, it's just a nice plant.
Yes.
But there's graphics, we talk about, one of the things people say, so how do you do your phonics and how do you do your writing? Well, let's just go back into nature, where sounds are made. When you hit something, that's a sound. And when those children make the sounds, then, when children don't know how to talk when they're little, but you talk to them and then all of a sudden they start mimicking you.
So your phonics is very organic. You're not.
It's very. We do phonics. Okay. We do, but we talk about. It's not like there's a now we do phonics. We talk to our children all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that there's this the mindset of, okay, now we're going to start this, and it's like, but you've been studying it from the beginning. It's just a natural progression,
continuation of learning through play. Yeah.
And I think that our biggest challenge, I would say, is changing mindsets of teachers. So my teachers, when they come, I tell them you need to be open, and how comfortable are you playing on the floor, and you need to leave your ego at the door.
Yeah.
That's the kind
hard
of teacher
for some of us.
Exactly. And they go, yeah, I can do that. And I said, look, we don't have a set schedule. We have a schedule because everyone needs a boundary and it has to stay safe.
Yeah.
But we do not have, and they're like, yeah. And then they start working, and then I support them during the weeks, but we generally have a nice, good chat after 4 weeks. And they're like, oh, so different.
Do they find it very challenging?
No, they don't actually.
Yeah.
Once they're able, if you get the right person in, they're like, it's so, on one hand, they say it's so much more, so it's not easier, it's more pleasant.
Yes. We want pleasant.
Calmer.
We want calm.
It feels right.
Yeah.
I don't have that stress on me. And in the beginning, because they don't know me, what you see is what you get. And a lot of the time, they're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay, she said, they're really organic and, they don't really follow a schedule. But I'm all supported, how supported am I going to be? There's a bit of that doubt. Yeah. And then they're like, you're doing exactly what you said was going to happen. I said, what did you think was going to happen?
Yes.
And so I guess the surprise that it works.
Yeah, I love that. Do we need to have a specific training to implement the Inspire philosophy?
So you need to have the right type of mindset, and then we train within.
Okay.
It's hard. I wish teachers just came. the way they are, but it's not, I think it's unfair and unrealistic, especially in such a transient country. If I did that, I would have also missed out on so many incredible teachers that have come my way. So if you're open-minded and you can learn to undo some of the things that you used to do, anyone
can do it.
Absolutely.
Anyone can be a inspired
Absolutely.
educator,
Absolutely.
Leader.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
Are
it applies
you
everywhere.
open to sharing this with the rest of the early years community?
Absolutely, yeah.
How can we contact you?
Either you can just call us on our landline.
Okay.
Literally, we're super open.
Yeah.
Most of the time I pick up the phone, or Petra or Isabel, and just ask. We do walkabouts. I very often have nurseries and schools who will contact us and go, look, we've heard about you. Is there any way we could come and visit you? Come on over.
Pause.
Pause.
Are you kidding me?
No.
This is one of the first where I've heard of a nursery who is really open to inviting other nurseries, other teachers, owners, managers to come and have a look around and come and be inspired with what you're creating.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your inspiration and your knowledge, your beautiful space with the rest of us. So this is an invitation to the rest of the early years community in Dubai. Go and connect with Agathe on Instagram. She is at Kids Island.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you. This is going to be your inbox is going to be flooded.
I'm also going, what have I done? But it's always been. It's not a secret. I think that we have a saying in French, and I think it's the same in English. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes.
And I think this industry needs braver people.
Yeah.
And what I don't like doing, and I've had this in the past, so now I'm more strict with it, is I'll have someone like, can I bring my team with me? And I'll go, yeah, the ones who are interested.
Yes.
Because I think about 8 months ago, I had a nursery leader who came and she's like, Agathe, you need to inspire them. And I was like, okay, like none of them are interested.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing they took away is get more cardboard and baskets. And I was like, oh God, that was such a waste of time. I said, you need to. And I said, so now I generally say either a leader comes on their own.
Yeah.
And then I'll show them around. Also with a big group of people, it's really hard to keep that, to keep that inspiration as you're walking around.
Yes, I hear you.
Small, intimate.
How about we connect and bring together a few nursery managers and we'll come and sit at your feet and glean from your wisdom and have a look around.
And share with me.
And learn from one another.
Yeah.
I love that. This is what this podcast is about, Agathe.
I agree.
That we connect our almost fragmented community, that there's enough for all of us.
There is.
There's enough love, there are enough children, there is enough resources. And when we pool the thinking and when we bring community together, that's when early years grows. That's where we become inspired and we become the modern day pedagogists, as you said. Yeah?
And we need people. We work with children. We all need to fill our inner cup of inspiration.
Yes.
It's like feeding that cup. And we get that obviously with working with our children, but it's also working with adults.
Yeah.
Because
our peers, our contemporaries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even this conversation now, it's like, yes, we've got half an hour, but it could go on and on because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think with you and I...
Well, you'll have to come on your own.
We can sit here for season 2, just you and I, and just get it done. Yeah, I'm grateful to have met you, and I'm grateful to share.
I'm wondering why we haven't met before.
We've seen each other.
We have
at some of the huge events,
it's
manager
huge.
events.
That's the right word.
Yes.
It's huge.
Yes,
we need to.
But this is so profound, and I'm really grateful to you for coming and sharing with us. So we spoke earlier, and you were saying that your philosophy is a bit of an eclectic mix, and then we spoke about Friedrich Froebel.
Yes, let's talk about so. Last week I called you, I said I was really nervous, and you're like, Agathe, everything's going to be absolutely fine. And you said, have you listened to my other podcast? I said, yes, I've listened to quite a few, but I've got a few more to listen to. Last Friday morning, I'm listening to episode 5. Honestly, if I could have fallen out of my chair, I was in the car, I would have. I got into work. I told you we do PACE in the morning. I had my colleague. I said, you're not doing PACE this morning with us? I said, I need you to go listen to this podcast. It's about 25 minutes, half an hour long. I'll meet you, in that time. She comes back and she's like, oh my goodness. And I said, right. And it's exactly what we do.
Wow.
I was floored. I actually am contacting the wonderful woman who came on. I was actually quite overwhelmed by the fact that there's actually something out there that is, now tell me how it's said again, because the Froebelian method,
yes,
that's been around since the 1800s,
yes,
and minus plus a couple of things. I mean, it is that. And like I was telling you before the podcast, I spoke to my brother yesterday. He called me from Melbourne, and he's like, oh, what's happening? Da, da, da. He knew I was quite nervous about today. And I said, oh, I need to share with you what I've learned. And he's like, isn't that amazing that everything that you've done over the last 25 years of your career and Mum's career before you hasn't been random?
It hasn't.
It hasn't.
No.
Now, I know it's not been random, but when you're introducing new things, like when we went into deep, authentic play, and when I removed all the boards, and when I took away the themes and the topics, and that's hard for teachers. It had to be very slow paced, having the training wheels on and then taking a training wheel off.
Yes.
And although it felt very natural to me and Isabel, there was a little bit of pushback and there's lots of questions.
Right.
And when I shared it with my staff, they were like, oh my goodness, like it's like we're doing, actually, we can't invent things. They're already out there.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
And that was so this fulfilling moment of, oh my goodness, actually what we're doing. And I know we do it right, but that validation,
yes,
that this is what I was like. So straight away, went onto the website. You can't do the course whenever you want to, like you have to do it way ahead of time. And so I sent them an email.
I believe Lisa is a local tutor, so perhaps
she is.
you connect with her.
Oh, no, I am. I've just taken remember, this is Friday.
Yeah.
This was 3 days ago.
Yes.
I've taken the weekend because I was like, this poor woman, if I contact her, I'm going to chew her ear off. So I was like, let's just calm down.
I love
do the
that.
podcast.
I love that.
And then I'm going to contact her.
Again, this is what it's about.
Well, this
that
is
we
it.
learn from one another and connect one another and just share our highs, share our inspiration, share our innovation. But you also take some elements of the curiosity approach.
Absolutely.
I see your beautiful goblets, your secondhand finds.
Oh, we're very...
Oh,
yes.
It's so beautiful.
And that's what I'm saying. But that's... So again, the inspired philosophy, it's a whole thing from, even when... I can't remember which episode, but you had... Well, I was going to say, I can consider her a friend. Shio came on and talked about Montessori.
Montessori, yes.
Amazing things in Montessori, amazing things in Reggio Emilia.
Right.
Same thing with Forest School. You just had an episode on Forest School. I think that by having these people come onto your podcast, it takes away the boundaries that a lot of people put in place, either to make it smaller or that the boundaries are so far they think they can't do it.
Right.
Everyone can do it. And all of these pedagogies have so much to give. You just need to rethink it. Okay, like I love Forest School. I don't have a forest. But there's lots of things
there
that
are
apply.
Elements, the nature play, the taking it slow.
Independence.
Yes.
Giving children risky play.
Yeah.
You can provide all of that on your balcony.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
I'd love to be in the middle of the desert. But we don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have access to that. And a lot of our nursery schools, like I said in my conversation with Autumn last week, that all our nurseries are not purpose-built. So they're not purpose-built.
We're not purpose-built.
Yeah.
But then that's where I like the fact that there's a challenge.
Yes.
I love the fact that I remember years and years and years ago when I was talking to Sarah Rogers, who was one of the first people to bring cash to Dubai. And she was saying, Agathe, what's really hard is when we're showing videos of examples of play. It's all in the UK.
Yeah.
It's puddles and wellies. She goes, we don't have that
it's
here.
It's not relatable.
It's not relatable.
Yes.
And people are really struggling to understand, yet we were able to apply it on our nursery school. She goes, can we come down and video what that looks like in a UAE setting?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people don't don't give themselves a space to imagine or to transform, it's easier not to copy, but to say, well, if I don't have the puddles and I don't have the welly boots, then I can't do it. And it's like, do
I
something
hear you
else.
saying excellence is possible in any environment with the right mindset.
Yes.
You need to have a growth mindset. We need to be constantly learning. We need to be constantly engaging with our contemporaries, going out and searching for. I believe that there are other nurseries that are implementing the Inspire philosophy
I'm sure.
having put
No.
a name to it, without having,
we were doing that.
Yes.
The name was put because people would come and go, love what you guys do. What's it called?
What is it? Yes.
And we'd be like, well, it's, and literally be like, And then about under 10 years ago, I was finally I was really pushed and said, you need to put a name. I was like, okay, let's find a name for it. But it could have been called anything. The name is just the name. It's what happens behind it, which is what's important.
Yes.
So anyone can do it.
I love it. Yeah, so we are going to connect with you. We're going to come and see how it's done. And we're going to chat about how we can bring our teams together around being inspired and then inspiring our settings. Yeah. So I want to ask you, what does math look like in an inspired philosophy? You spoke about phonics, that you have a phonics program. It's happening throughout. It's holistic. We're talking the whole day. We're singing the whole day. Again, I think a lot of nurseries are doing this. But what would math look like?
Well, how would it not look like? It's naturally happens. We naturally count, even ourselves, when we're putting things out. When we're doing a pattern, that's a form of counting. So when children are little, it's giving them lots and lots of bits to play with. And then in the beginning, it's, let's count your toes when we change their nappies. Let's count your fingers. How many fingers do I wear the same? It's connection again. People counting to 10 is not difficult. And this thing of that, everything has to be, it's brought down to, my child needs to know their colors and their counting. I'm like, that's the easy bit.
Yes.
The hard bit is relating to the outside world.
Yes.
So, for example, giving them lots of examples. The number, if I think of the number 1, 7, the number 4, there are many ways of writing them, but we take it for granted that it's a symbol at the end of the day. So,
and that's not necessarily the first thing that children learn. Symbols. No. Yeah, I hear you.
So by having them all over the place, they slowly, it's in, that it's not in their forefront, but it's happening on a
subconscious.
Exactly, that subconscious level of, I know this is a leaf because I've been shown again and again, and I see it in nature. I know what sand looks like. Okay, it's called sand, but it could have been called something else. So it's the same thing with numbers.
Yes.
And then quantifying it. So, for example, there's no pressure when it comes to it. We don't.
You're speaking about an educator who is involved and present.
And is also comfortable in the uncomfortableness of not doing it the traditional way.
Yes.
Because that's the space that we have to teach our teachers.
I think if COVID, you and I spoke about COVID earlier. If COVID taught us anything, it's taught us that the traditional way is moot. We've moved beyond that. We've moved beyond thinking that there's only one way of getting to the number 10, of getting to the number 4. No. There are other ways. There are new experiences. And it's for us, again, to go out there and to go and learn and to innovate in our industry. Yeah?
Absolutely. And can I share that there is some children would struggle in a setting like ours, and we have to adapt to them. When I say
How
that,
so?
For example, I'm just thinking I had, and this was years and years and years ago, I had a little boy who thrived the old way we were doing things.
You mean with a routine?
With a routine.
This is the topic of the week.
Exactly, yeah. And it was very image driven. Actually, if he came into our nursery today, we would have adapted around him anyway, but the freedom of choice would have been something really hard for him to have taken, because there's just like we were talking earlier, when a space is too big, can be overwhelming. the choice is also overwhelming.
Okay.
So we have to be very balanced with how we do
Yes,
things. We have to be
yes.
very present. We have to take a step back. You know, this might be working for me, but is it working for them? And it might be
Yes.
working for the majority, but not for certain
Right,
individuals. So
right.
it's about adapting.
And I think this is the framework that most of us in the UAE ascribe to, is the EYFS, and we speak about the unique child.
Yeah.
And we speak about that teacher that is interested in the unique needs of those child and of that child,
Yes.
and then going about her day planning around those individual needs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agathe, it has been such a profound, such an inspiring conversation. Can you see that there was no need to be nervous?
No, and like I said, the reason why I was nervous is I really wanted to make justice to the incredible team that's there, because it's not just me.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing, is to give them justice. So that was my biggest thing, really.
That is the mark of a true leader,
Thank you.
is when we elevate.
I'm actually getting quite emotional right now. It's just yeah.
I am truly inspired. See, I've got goosebumps now.
Oh, no, you're doing it to me too.
The
Okay.
mark of a leader is that we elevate others, that we stand behind, and that we watch them grow and we watch them blossom. So you have done just that.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. We are certainly going to be in touch, and I'm looking
will.
forward to the next time you're coming
I
on
would
our
love to.
podcast.
Yes, anytime.
Yeah, Agathe, thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
I believe that this has been one of the easiest conversations for me. Certainly it has. Agathe has been such a wonderful guest, such an interesting, such an inspiring woman, such an inspiring peer. I would love for you to connect with her. She's at Kids Island Nursery. Go and find her on Instagram. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, go and find us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. This is Let's Talk Early Years. See you next time.